the scripted broken fibula injury against the Colts suffered by Derek Carr on Christmas Eve of 2016, happening after 47 games in his career. 47 games there, 2016, because Derek Carr is Jumanji 47. In scripted fashion, this is the week that the Raiders clinch their first postseason berth since 2016. On January the 2nd, Derek Carr defeats the Colts. He gets one back against Indy. 33 points were scored in that game. The Raiders' record was 12-3. The Colts scored 25 points in that game. Derek has Jumanji of 25. Now the Raiders were 12-3 after that game. Indianapolis is Jumanji of 123. And we truly see the special one in action for the Vegas Raiders. Indianapolis, Super Bowl 60th when the dynasty officially kicks in. The Vegas dynasty, the special one, Derek Dallas Carr, he suffers his injury against Indianapolis, but it is all good. Because the amount of time from the injury against the Colts to the time that the Raiders clinched the playoff berth leaves us with 60 months later. In scripted fashion, after the injury to Indianapolis, Derek Carr is going to defeat the Indianapolis Colts to clinch the postseason berth. And then the division in home field in the following week. Because the amount of games for Derek Dallas Carr in his career ever since the injury, game number 79 would occur against Indianapolis since that injury. After 78 prior games, the Colts were 7-8 after that game. Champion is Jumanji 78. So, right there, you see 80 games for Derek Carr. His 80th game since the injury is going to occur against the LA Chargers because...
This is the Ergo Smart Base from Tempur-Pedic, and it responds to snoring automatically.
So the 80th game ever since the injury is going to occur against the Los Angeles Chargers. You see that is completely synced up by the numbers, the schedule makers. The schedule is completely predetermined and scripted by Jumanji before the year. Los Angeles Chargers is Jumanji of 80, and you see, for example, that Derek Carr would play his 80th game since the injury against the Chargers. And now, when the Raiders clinch home field, it's game number 83 in the Super Bowl for Derek Carr. Because Tom Brady is born on August the 3rd, 8-3, Derek Carr is Jumanji of 83. This is what happens when the Raiders get home field. But even if the Raiders do play in the wild card round, you get game number 84 since the injury in the Super Bowl as the Raiders become the defending Super Bowl champion before the next Super Bowl, Super Bowl 57 at Arizona. So this is the whole meaning of game number 84 in the Super Bowl if the Raiders don't get home field. So the dynasty's about to begin when no one expects it to. That's how you know how much of a hoax this really is. That's how you know the whole hoax behind the last couple of weeks is. It ain't no coincidence that Derek Carr has 15 touchdowns right now. Remember, the last Super Bowl came at Tampa. The injury came against the Colts at the Stadium of the Rams. Not by coincidence, all by design. 185 touchdowns at the time that Vegas is 5-4, and that loser Bengals wide receiver Chris Collinsworth just says it's too much, it's time to give up. Well, loser Chris and the loser Bengals will just know how much of a bunch of losers they all really are next week. 185 touchdowns is when the Vegas dynasty kicks off. It is no coincidence that he threw the touchdown to Hunter Renfrow for the score to be 7-7 against the Chiefs. This is the whole meaning of 185 touchdowns, is that the Vegas Raider dynasty begins against the Bengals. All in tribute to Bo Jackson. All in tribute to the best chance that the Raiders had to win a second Super Bowl in Los Angeles. Derek Carr was born 74 days after the Bo Jackson game. It just happens to be the case that the Raiders had 18 non-winning seasons in the last 19 years. Then this year, the Raider dynasty begins, is when the Raiders win the first Super Bowl since Super Bowl 18. 18 non-winning seasons and 19 seasons since the Super Bowl season. It is all synced up by the numbers. Completely by the numbers. Absolutely, completely synced up. And the amount of time from the injury to the Super Bowl. So we have Derek Dallas Carr in Indianapolis and the Raiders clinching the playoff berth against the Colts some 42 days before the Super Bowl on the 42nd day of the year, when the Raiders are 4-2 in the Super Bowl as a franchise. And the amount of time from the injury to the Super Bowl itself. Close to 5 years and 2 months later, 5 years and a month if you want to talk about the host, the Rams, and then 5 years and 2 months later, what we get is the gematria of Tampa Bay Buccaneers having gematria of 52, or rather the Buccaneers. That is the whole meaning of Derek Carr winning the Super Bowl some 5 years and 2 months later, rounding up. 61 months later is the playoffs. 62 months later is the Super Bowl since the injury. The playoffs begin 61 months later. Las Vegas Raiders, and then the Super Bowl win against the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers is gematria 62. The Indianapolis Colts just happens to be the gematria of the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bo Jackson injury, the Vegas Raider dynasty beginning against the Cincinnati Bengals. It just so happens to be the case that 90 is the gematria of the New World Order. America is becoming more a diverse nation. The Raiders have strong Illuminati symbolism with the pirate patch in the one all-seeing eye, the right eye that you see. It's the first Super Bowl title since Marcus Allen was Super Bowl MVP. Marcus has gematria of Indianapolis Colts. And this is the gematria trap of the Arizona Cardinals in conference week. So buyer beware with the Cardinals. Just a fair warning. Indianapolis Colts, and Allen is also gematria of Cincinnati Bengals. Now what about Christmas Eve itself? Christmas is gematria 38. Raiders is gematria 38. This injury was suffered at around the time of Christmas on Christmas Eve. San Diego, the last Super Bowl once again. Just win, baby. Colorado, where Croaky Sports Entertainment operates at. Trent Cole was the guy who hit Derek Carr. Trent Cole's gematria 40. Carr's gematria 40. Houston was the game that he missed against the Houston Texans. Broken fibula. The Raiders both have same gematria 53. 53 happens to be the gematria, if I'm not mistaken, of Andrew Luck. Now, Andrew Austin Luck is gematria of 61. Luck was the quarterback in the game, and then 61 months later is when the Raiders will be in the playoffs with a healthy quarterback. So there is some meaning with Andrew Austin Luck. It was an unlucky moment for the Raiders. It was a bad season for the Colts, on the other hand. This is another reason why the injury happened after 47 games. It is the Colts that has gematria of, hold on a second, Inglewood, California. Inglewood, California, and Henderson. It is Inglewood, California that has gematria of the Indianapolis Colts. Again, not by coincidence. This is the script. The dynasty happens when no one expects them to. Indianapolis Colts is a direct match with Inglewood, California. Tie in the relationship between the injury of Derek Carr in the scripted Raiders Dynasty Super Bowl championship against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is where you get the birth of the Vegas Raider dynasty. 11 wins, the finish with 18 wins for the season and during their time in Las Vegas. Seems plausible if that happens. So what would that mean? So if that is the case, 3 wins at the time that Gruden is gone, so that's 8 wins, right? 3-2, that's 5 games, and then that's 12 more. That's 12 more games. So that's 8-4. And then if they go in the wild card round, guess what? What you get is 12-4 in the Super Bowl. If the Raiders are in the wild card round, Raiders can win the wild card round at home, win on the road in the divisional round, and win the AFC Championship game at home because the Raiders get a finish with a better record than the Buffalo Bills. It's all going to be rigged that way, by the way. Derek is Jamachip 25, and then Indy is Jamachip 25. This is where we get the 25 points against the game, against the Raiders, that particular season. January the 2nd is 1-2. The Raiders were at 12 wins, 6-2 at home. 62 months later, Super Bowl, it's all synced up with the Super Bowl championship. They clinched the playoffs against the Indianapolis Colts in scripted fashion. If you're wondering about the significance of the time that the Raiders clinched the playoff berth to the resignation of John Gruden, you can develop a relationship. 83 days later, the Raiders clinched the postseason with Dallas Carr because Derek Carr's too much of 83. It's completely rigged. That is the script. They clinched the playoffs against the Colts because it's all part of a rigged hoax. It's all a giant hoax. Oh my God, the Raiders are done. The Raiders are done. Oh my God. 49 days later is when Derek Carr clinches the postseason berth. 49, revelation. It's all good in Raiderland. 185 touchdown passes before the Vegas Raider dynasty begins. Book of Revelation. The masses are programmed. They're programmed. They don't know the history. They don't know the history of the Raider dynasty occurring out of nowhere. I guess the history is just going to have to repeat itself again. It's going to have to repeat itself again. It's going to have to repeat itself again. Derek Carr was left out with chance of MVP. And at this moment in time, he's got 15 touchdowns right now in the Super Bowl. The playoffs will be 5 months in 5 years in a month from now. Literally, is late January when the Raiders are in the Super Bowl. Completely scripted. Completely rigged and completely scripted by the numbers. The 28th win with home field, the 28th playoff win can occur in the Super Bowl. Carr threw 28 touchdowns that year. '81 touchdowns. 81 touchdowns. The number of the beast is Jamachip 81. Derek Carr is going to officially take off. And 81 is also the first opponent of the season, the Baltimore Ravens. And the Arizona Cardinals are still a trap for Super Bowl week. So just let you know there, if you're thinking about, oh my God, Cardinals gonna make it, blah, 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 blah. No, they're not. 1 month and 19 days later, All C&I Master Plan, Crunky Sport, Entertainment Enterprises, 119 games of Derek Carr up to this time. And then you can do November 21st. The Raiders beat the Bengals. The Raiders clinch the playoffs 42 days later, 42 days before the Super Bowl, before the Raiders are, guess what, 4-2 in the Super Bowl. 43 days later, including the end day, this is the Jamachip Derek for the time that the Raider dynasty begins. 6 weeks and a day later, they're stripped of a 6th-round draft pick. The coach won his first game 6 days after Gruden resigned. It's all hoax. Don't fall for the rigged hoax. They want you to think that it's over. It's all scripted. It's all cleverly scripted to get you to think, oh my God, they're in trouble. This looks pretty real. But what you see is very different than what is actually occurring. Under 12 weekdays later, the Raiders clinched the postseason against the team that is known as the horseshoe logo. That's another thing from the 49 days from the Chiefs game, is that 49 days later, the Raiders clinched the playoffs against the horseshoe. It's all part of the script. Once you see exactly what is happening here, you see that that's another thing with the Raiders winning the Super Bowl at Tampa, is that the Colts won the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers coach, Tony Dungy, who came in to Indy right after they traded for John Gruden, and that's who they beat the Raiders at the Super Bowl. So there is a little Tony Dungy angle with this.